Hello. There was a pair of twin sisters driving along a coastal road in California when their car suddenly lost control and fell from a cliff over 200 feet high. The car plunged onto the rocks below, just a short distance from the shore. The older sister miraculously survived, while the younger sister was not as fortunate. Due to many suspicious points surrounding the accident, the older sister was accused of murdering her twin. This is the story of the Duvall twins in California. The main characters in this story are twin sisters. The older one named Allison Duvall and the younger one named Ann Duvall. They were born in August 1978 in New York State. New York, located in the northeastern United States, is one of the most economically developed states in America, leading in fields such as finance, industry, arts, etc. About 240 miles from New York City is a city called Utica. The twin sisters grew up there. Besides the two of them, the family also had an older sister who was 3 years their senior. When the twins were 5 years old, their mother passed away from an aneurysm. This was a huge shock for the two sisters. From then on, they relied on each other to live. Whether in personality or appearance, two were very similar, as if they were reflections of each other. They were almost always together, with an extremely close relationship. Allison and Ann attended Notre Dame High School together. During their school years, they both joined the school's cheerleading squad and spent time practicing every day. It was also from this time that they developed a love for yoga. At 30 years old, they opened a yoga studio together. Unexpectedly, the business venture was very successful. Everything went smoothly. However, later on, they neglected the management of their yoga studio business. It gradually became less promising and even became very gloomy. This caused the two sisters to feel anxious and worried all day, often blaming each other. From then on, their relationship was no longer as it used to be. They argued over trivial matters 2 to 3 times a week, sometimes even getting physical. However, they were still blood sisters after all. After each bitter argument, they would decide to reconcile. They agreed to put aside work matters and go to California together for a vacation. But right after they arrived, a strange incident occurred. So what happened on that day between the two sisters? What secrets did they have? Next, we will turn back time to May 29, 2016. On Sunday, May 29, 2016, a Ford Explorer SUV was driving along the coastal road on Maui Island, California. The driver was the older sister Allison, while the younger sister Ann sat in the passenger seat. At this time, they were driving around the island, enjoying the surrounding scenery. Maui is the second largest island in the California archipelago, with an area of 728 square miles. The place has a pleasant climate and is a famous tourist destination. Maui Island contains many beautiful valleys, so it is also known as the Valley Isle. Allison and Ann were driving the SUV along the Hana Highway. The Hana Highway is 65 miles long, built on steep cliffs. While driving on the Hana Highway, tourists can admire the magnificent scenery, passing waterfalls at times and facing the sea at others. Here you can enjoy the majestic beauty of mountains, forests, and seas, bringing a relaxing and pleasant feeling. This is one of the most beautiful roads in America. However, although the Hana Highway has beautiful scenery, the road is narrow and winding. Sometimes you have to reduce speed to below 10 miles per hour to be safe, otherwise it's very dangerous. The Hana Highway is an old road with bad sections where you'll feel constant shaking while driving. Although the scenery here is very beautiful, it also harbors many dangers. Initially, the two sisters were in a very good mood. For some unknown reason, they started arguing. Then they fought in the car. Ann, sitting in the passenger seat, pulled Allison's hair. Allison pushed Anne away. At this time, the car was still driving at high speed on the road. Suddenly, the car swerved to the left, hit the guardrail, and plunged off the 200-foot-high cliff. The car flipped multiple times before crashing into the rocks by the shore and stopping. Because there were many vehicles passing on the Hana Highway, many people witnessed their car falling off the cliff. They saw someone moving in the car, so they immediately called the police. Upon receiving the report, the police and paramedics quickly arrived at the scene. They airlifted the injured to the hospital by helicopter. Then the police began investigating the incident. The car had fallen from a 200-foot-high cliff. The strong impact severely deformed the car. Allison was taken to the hospital to examine her broken ribs and arm, but she could still walk on her own. For someone who fell from a 200-foot cliff, surviving was already extremely lucky. Allison was not in any life-threatening danger. The younger sister Anne was not as fortunate. She died at the scene in this accident. Before the accident occurred, there was a witness who was driving behind the sisters' SUV. This witness said that looking through the windshield, you could see the two sisters arguing very fiercely and pulling each other's hair. This witness felt very shocked seeing that scene. In fact, when driving on the Hana Highway, people have to be highly focused because this road is very narrow. Even a small mistake can cause danger. Yet the SUV carrying the two sisters was not only driving at high speed, but also fighting while driving. This made people shudder. Then the witness saw the SUV plunge straight off the cliff. The police found some long blonde hairs in Anne's hand. This showed that before the car fell off the cliff, Anne had really pulled Allison's hair. Anne had used a lot of force. Otherwise, these hairs could not have been pulled from the scalp like that. The police's initial assessment was that the accident occurred due to the two of them fighting, causing the car to lose control and fall off the cliff. Through the traces left on the road, the police deduced that the car had swerved sharply to the left. The guardrail was made of soil, so when the car swerved sharply left, it hit the guardrail and fell off the cliff. Because Allison had the steering wheel in front of her, the airbag had time to deploy to protect her before she hit the windshield. Anne, who was sitting in the passenger seat, had hit her head on the car roof when the car flipped, then was thrown to the back seat, leading to the tragedy. Based on the acceleration and deceleration data from the car's black box, combined with analysis of the airbag control module, it showed that the car did not slow down at all. In other words, Allison did not step on the brake at all before plunging off the cliff. The car plunged off the cliff at very high speed. Police also arranged for technicians to simulate the accident. Notably, after falling off the cliff, the car had fallen onto a rocky outcrop by the shore. The surroundings were all sea. If the car's falling position was just slightly off, it would surely have fallen into the sea, and Allison would hardly have survived. This made people suspect whether Allison had deliberately aimed for that spot or not. Was it possible that she had deliberately aimed for that spot and then driven the car off the cliff? Experts recreating the scene said that when driving on the road, you can't see how high the cliff is or whether there are rocks or water below. You have to get to the very edge of the cliff to see. Therefore, possibility of deliberately choosing this location is not high. Although Allison may not have deliberately chosen this location, it doesn't rule out the possibility that she deliberately drove the car off the cliff and coincidentally there was a rock outcrop below. Allison's behavior made the police feel there was something strange. When the Maui police first arrived at the scene, the first thing Allison said to the police was, Why are you all here? Moreover, initially Allison did not want to answer the police's questions. She also didn't ask how Anne was doing. While talking, Allison reeked of alcohol. Then the police conducted a blood alcohol test on Allison. The results showed that her blood alcohol level was 3 times the local legal driving limit. At the hospital, the police informed Allison that her twin sister Anne had passed away. However, Allison appeared indifferent, not crying at all. The police quickly identified Allison's boyfriend named Dickerson. The owner of the wrecked SUV was him. Not long after, Dickerson appeared at the hospital. At this point, a strange thing happened. When she saw Dickerson, Allison immediately said, "Shut up. You've said too much in front of the police already." An even stranger thing was that after the sister's father arrived at the hospital, he expressed disappointment. Said it should have been Allison who died. Next, the police investigated the background and history of the two sisters. They discovered that 8 years ago, in 2008, the two sisters had opened a yoga studio called Twin Power Yoga in Palm Beach, Southeast Florida. Palm Beach is located in Southeast Florida and is a famous coastal resort town in the state facing the sea. It has world-class beaches here, attracting many tourists to vacation every year. In summer, hotels here are all fully booked. Palm Beach is not only a tourist destination, but also an area for the wealthy. Many rich people buy beachfront villas here. The sisters' yoga studio was opened here. Initially, their business was very successful, earning quite a bit of money. Anne even bought a Porsche car. Gradually, their yoga studio gained a reputation. In 2011, after 3 years of running the yoga studio, two sisters were invited to participate in a reality TV show. The reality show producer suggested they should rent a larger and more luxurious location, the yoga studio. The producer also promised the two that after they rented the new location, would continue to invite them to participate in the reality show, help raise their profile. The sisters, after careful consideration, felt this idea was not bad and worth trying, so they rented a larger and more luxurious location in the Palm Beach area. This move increased the costs of the yoga studio. Just the rent alone was much more expensive than before. However, the reality show producer went back on his word and did not fulfill his promise to have the two sisters appear on the show. After moving locations, the yoga studio business was not as expected. Later on, the income from the yoga studio was not even enough to pay the rent. They were losing money every month. Helpless, the two sisters decided to close the studio in 2014. By then, they had incurred $100,000 in debt, about 2.3 billion VN's prices. Notably, the two sisters did not notify the employees in advance about the closure. They still owed employees several months of wages. Some customers who had bought memberships and paid money were also not refunded. The two sisters just ran away like this angered customers. Some people posted negative reviews online to denounce the two sisters. The incident gradually spread. More and more people learned about the behavior of the two sisters. The reputation of the Twin Power Yoga Studio in the local yoga community also. After closing the yoga studio, the two sisters left Florida, Park City, Utah. The names of the two sisters had appeared many times in negative reviews online. Such criticism had greatly affected their reputation. Therefore, the two sisters decided to change their names. Allison Duvall changed to Alexandria Duvall, while Anne Duvall changed to Anastasia Duvall. Then they opened another yoga studio in Park City. However, not long after, someone discovered the sisters' real names. Just by searching their real names online, one could dig up their dark past. Park City is a small town. Rumors spread very quickly. Soon the local yoga community all knew about what the two sisters had done in Palm Beach. Witnessing the business of the new yoga studio getting worse and worse, the two sisters again incurred debt and were forced to close. After that, they sank into sadness, often drinking together. Who knew that using alcohol to drown their sorrows would only make them sadder? Once they got drunk and fought in a restaurant. When the police arrived, they were still pulling each other's hair. At that time, their car had also fallen into a small ditch. It be seen that they had encountered a similar situation, leading to losing control of the car. One day in March 2014, Allison was arrested for drunk driving, biting while driving, fleeing the scene of an accident. Then Anne threatened the police officer who arrested Allison, saying, "I'm going to kill you." Then she attacked the police officer. In the end, she had to go to jail for assaulting and threatening a police officer. In December 2015, two sisters moved to Hawaii. Then they used fake names to ask for cash from staff at a homeless shelter. Meanwhile, the two sisters were living in a luxurious spa resort, not at all in dire straits, needing help from a shelter. No one knows why they did that. In 2016, the two sisters rented a house locally and both found boyfriend. Allison was dating Dickerson, while Anne was seeing a man named Bailey. All four lived together in a spacious rental house. Bailey, Anne's boyfriend, said the two sisters often argued at home, sometimes even fighting, and their way of fighting looked very professional. Not long before the accident, Anne and Bailey planned to go camping. They deliberately didn't tell Allison because they wanted to have a romantic trip for just the two of them. During that time, Bailey was monitoring the two sisters, trying to help them quit alcohol, so they would not bring alcohol on this camping. Anne and Bailey had gone to Costco to buy some necessary supply. However, when paying, they discovered they had brought Allison's card by mistake. So Anne and Bailey returned home to get their own car. When they got home, they saw Allison. When she learned of Anne and Bailey's camping plan, Allison said she wanted to go too. This made Anne unhappy. Then the two sisters argued on the way to the campsite. When they arrived at the campsite, two sisters still looked upset. After that, Bailey stayed alone in the tent while the two sisters drove away. But when they returned, they seemed very happy and told Bailey they had met a girl hitchhiking on the road. This girl also had a twin sister, and they had chatted very happily. Not long after, Bailey discovered Anne and Allison had been drinking. At that time, Bailey was trying to help them quit alcohol. The two sisters had broken their promise together. This made Bailey very angry. Then Bailey left the campsite, saying he wanted to be alone to calm down. Not long after, Anne and Allison took alcohol and drove the SUV away. That was also the last time Bailey saw the two sisters. According to Bailey's account, a week before the incident, Allison had told him, "I want to kill her." Here referring to Anne. Allison also told Anne that, "We will leave this planet on the 30th. From then on, Anne's behavior became very strange. It seemed like something serious was troubling. Anne appeared very worried, her hands shaking violently. Anne was usually a very confident person, never shaking hands like that. But when Bailey asked Anne what had happened, she seemed reluctant and didn't say anything. This made people speculate whether Allison had deliberately driven the car off the cliff. Perhaps Allison had intended to commit suicide together with her twin sister. But then an even stranger thing happened. After the accident, when Allison returned home, she asked Bailey, Anne's boyfriend, to wash her hair. After showering, Allison wore Anne's clothes, sat next to Bailey, and leaned her head on his shoulder. Bailey said, "Seeing her wearing Anne's clothes made me feel very uncomfortable. Anne had just worn that dress a few days ago. Allison didn't want to talk to Bailey about any details related to the case. After obtaining some important testimonies, the police believed Allison was involved in the incident and prepared to arrest her. However, at this time, Allison had already fled. Allison learned that the police wanted to arrest her, so she booked a plane ticket to leave Hawaii on June 1st, 5 days after the accident. Police received a report. The flight Allison had booked encountered problems and was canceled, so Allison had gone to a hotel near the airport. Police raided the hotel and arrested Allison 8 days after the incident. First hearing took place in court. The prosecutor charged Allison with second-degree murder. Second-degree murder refers to intentional killing, but without premeditation. At the hearing, Allison's hand was still bandaged. The judge believed there was not enough evidence to support the charges, so the second-degree murder charge against Allison was dismissed. After being released, Allison returned to New York. However, she was arrested for drunk driving and not wearing a seatbelt. Her blood alcohol level was tested to be 3 times the local legal limit. After being arrested, Allison refused to disclose her place of residence and also refused to be fingerprinted and photographed. In October 2016, 5 months after the incident, prosecutors found more evidence and continued to prosecute Allison. Here we need to mention the concept of a grand jury. The jury we usually talk about is a petite jury. A grand jury is different from a petite jury. A grand jury usually appears in preliminary hearings to decide whether to prosecute or not, while a petite jury appears during the trial to decide whether the defendant is guilty or not.